Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Myself Kiran. So this channel is created to bring knowledge or awareness about the technical concepts to the non-technical people uh, who are beginners to the IT industry or who moved from non-technical backgrounds to the technical backgrounds in IT industry. So today we are going to discuss about the topic, which is very interesting topic, and beginners will always face some challenge in understanding this concept, which is API, application programming interface. So yeah, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe, and if you like the video, please hit a like button and share it with other people. And please be here in the session until end of the session so that you will understand more about API. Okay. So yeah, so what is API? What is the full form of API? First of all, API stands for Application Programming Interface. So before you understand API, first of all, we need to understand certain things like what is front end, right? What is back end, database, UI. So, so front end means basically FE means front end. So where I mean, if you talk about any software applications, where customer use the application, right? For example, customer can log in into some net banking, or maybe customer can log in into some mobile application. So these are the front end, right? And what is back end? Back end means basically server where the data is stored. Okay, so DB means database. It's a collection of data. So this database is stored on the server, right? And when we say UI means user interface. So front end and user interface, one and the same only. Okay. Now let's take an example. Let's say there is a user who is trying to use some of the features on the net banking application. Let's say there is a bank, XYZ bank, and there is a user who is trying to use this net banking application for different features. Okay, when we say features, there are different functionalities that customer can use on net banking, right? So customer can try to log in to the net banking. That is the first feature that customer can use on net banking. Customer can try to initiate a payment. That is another feature. Customer can try to open a fixed deposit. That is another feature. Customer can apply for a debit card or ATM card. That is another feature, right? So every time customer tries to do something on the net banking, he has to input some details, right? For login, he will put user ID and password. For payment, maybe he will input account and amount. And for opening fixed deposit, he may enter the account details and amount. There could be other details as well, but I'm just uh, talking about the very basic details, right? Very basic input details. For applying debit card, he may have to uh, select his account. He may have to uh, select the account type and then name. Of course, it will come automatically, but these are the input details, right? So for using any of this feature, this front-end application net banking will not know whether to allow the user to access the net banking, right? Or whether to allow the user to make a payment, or whether to allow the user to make a fixed deposit, or whether to allow the user to apply for a debit card or credit card. I mean, front end, that means this net banking application is the front end channel, right? So this does not understand whether to allow the users to perform certain features. So what does it do? Okay, it tries to connect with the backend where the database is there, where the data is stored, right? When we say database, it has all the customers data, right? Let's say customers user ID and password, all that data is stored here, right, in the backend. And customers details, right? uh, so when we say customer details, customer account number, amount, everything is stored here. I mean, you can say all the information about the customer, whether it is user ID, password, amount, account details, balance, everything is stored here. So this front end application will try to get in touch with the server or back end to get the details and to take a decision whether to allow to log in, whether to allow the user to make a payment. So for that, front end tries to interact with API. Okay. So API is like a mediator between the front end and back end here, right? When we say front end, it is net banking application. When we say back end, where the data is lying, right? Now, what API does, API is just a mediator or bridge between the front end and back end. So API means it is actually a code base. Please understand. API is not something which is existing in physical form, right? It is a code base where all the rules and protocols are written in a programming language. What does it mean? So just to allow the user to log in, just to allow the user to make a payment, there could be some criteria, right? You will not simply allow the user to log in unless he inputs the right user ID and password, right? You will not allow the user to make a payment unless he has he has enough balance in his account and his account details are correct. So certain rules and regulations, certain business rules are written here in the code, right? It could be any programming language like Java, right? Now, so there are few things. There is another name for front end, that is client. So client does not mean that customer, but it's not bank customer. Client means front end, channel like net banking is a client, right? Mobile banking is a client where customer tries to do something like login payment. Those are the client. Client means front end channel or front end application. Okay, and there is another name for backend which is server where all the database is stored. Okay, so API is simply a set of rules and protocols. That means in layman terms, rules and protocols means business logic. Simple. Okay, we'll talk about business logic shortly. So these rules and protocols are business logic we have written in the code so that we can take a decision to give the success message or failure message on the front end. That means कस्टमर लॉगिन आई मीन कस्टमर जब लॉगिन करता है राइट. सो लॉगिन करने के बाद उनको अलाउ करना है या डिनाई करना है. सो वो डिसीजन मेकर कौन है? एपीआई है. इन द सेम वे कस्टमर अकाउंट डिटेल्स एंड अमाउंट एंट्री करने के बाद उनको पेमेंट अलाउ करना है या डिनाई करना है. Who is the decision maker? API again. Okay. I mean, see, try to understand front end. That means your net banking is not taking the decision. It can't take the decision, right? Because it doesn't store any data. It doesn't know any data. Okay. I mean, it doesn't know whether the balance is available or not. It doesn't know whether the user ID password is correct. It doesn't know whether the available balance is there in your account to book the FD. It doesn't know whether I mean, this account is permitted to take a debit card or not. So front end will not take any decision. It is API who will take the decision, right? So I mean, in every API, I mean, API means we have written business logic in the code to take a decision to show a success message or failure message. Success message means allowing the user to log in, allowing the payment, allowing the booking of FD. So that is success. Failure means showing an error message stating that, oh, user ID password is incorrect, or showing that, oh, you don't have sufficient balance, payment failed, like that. That is failure message. Now let's dig it deep down. So let's take some examples. Okay, so okay, one more thing. What API is doing here as a mediator, it is taking a request. I mean, it is taking some details. Okay, first of all, let's try and understand what it is taking. It is taking some details. In case of login, it is taking user ID password. In case of payment, it is taking account details and amount. In case of opening fixed deposit, it is taking account details and amount. In case of applying debit card, it is taking account details, account type and name, for example, right? So these are the input that API is taking. So that input here, it is called as request. What do we call it? We generally call it as request. So, I mean, request means basically some data, or I would say, I will not say input, but it is taking some kind of data from the front end, right? And now, so what it will do, API, after taking user ID and password, it will go to server and it will check that whether the entered user ID password is correct or not. If it is correct, then this backend server will send a response to the API. Please understand. Uh, See, front end has sent some request to API. That request is sent to backend. Now backend is sending a response to API. Okay, so here what it is doing, it is sending a response. So what does response contain? Again, it contains some data only. Okay, please understand this. It contains again some data. Okay, now uh, data means what? So something was asked by front end to API, that is request. So that request has come here and now it has to respond with some data, right? Now it will say that, hey boss, user ID, password, both are correct. Now, since it is correct, you can take the action. So now API will take the action. So since uh, user ID and password are correct, this API will allow the front end to login or to get the access to net banking. So what API is doing, it is taking some data from here, sending here, and taking the some data back here with the response. And based on that response, it is taking a decision. Please understand, it is actually taking a decision. Okay, if you understood correctly. So now let's take some examples, then you will understand. Okay, let's take the login feature, right? So uh, I mean, on net banking, customer can do multiple things, multiple features, login, payment, booking FD, applying for debit card. Let's look at one or two examples, maybe login feature, right? So in login, what are the, so we have been talking about the rules and protocols, our business logic, one and the same only. Okay, let's look at some of the rules. What is the first rule? Okay, now the first rule. So this is something which is written in the code, right? In the logic. So I have put it in very basic layman terms, but in the code it would be written like this. What is the first rule? If user ID and password are correct, show the success message. Okay, if user ID and password is incorrect for the first time, then show an error message. What is that? Incorrect credentials, please try again later, right? So please understand, if this is the condition, you allow the user to access. If user ID and password are incorrect for the first time, then you show this message. Okay, but let's say user ID password are incorrect for the second time as well, then you will show the message in a different way. So conditions, I mean, based on the based on the data, you are taking different decisions here. So that is rules and protocols. See, in the third condition, it is bit different. See, incorrect credentials, and please check and try again. If you enter the incorrect credentials again within 24 hours, your access will be blocked. So this is a third rule, so first rule is different, second is different, third is different. Now look at fourth. Let's say if customer has input incorrect user ID and password for the third time within 24 hours, then he will get the error message in a different way now. See, incorrect credentials, your access is blocked for 24 hours. Please visit the nearest bank branch. Okay, so this is again fourth rule. Fourth rule. I mean, now you look at the fifth rule. Uh, let's say if user entered incorrect user ID password for the fourth time, no, okay, then this time he will get a different error message stating that, hey, sorry, your account is locked. Please visit the nearest branch. So, I mean, different if different data is coming from front end to back end through API, different decisions are made here. So API is something like a decision maker, but how is it taking decision? Based on the data. Okay, so data is coming from here to here, and that data is coming here, and again it is sending a response. Again, that is also data. I mean, so see, this backend or server is not taking any decision. It is simply giving the data or providing the data as per the front end. फ्रंट एंड अगर यूजर आईडी पासवर्ड दिया तो वो सही है कि नहीं बता रहा है, ये फेल नहीं कर रहा है, ये सिर्फ डेटा दे रहा है, राइट? इन द सेम वे पेमेंट के केस में ये सिर्फ आपको बैलेंस है कि नहीं उतना बताएगा, बट ये पेमेंट को फेल नहीं करेगा। पेमेंट को फेल करने वाला कौन है? एपीआई। सो एपीआई डिसीजन ले रहा है बेस्ड ऑन द डेटा विच इज लाइंग इन द backend server. Yeah, so now let's quickly look at the payment failure. So what is the first rule? So I mean, whatever I'm showing here, right? So this is written in the API. Please understand, this is written in the API. API के कोड बेस में ये सब रूल्स लिखा हुआ इन ए प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज, एंड ये भी सब रूल्स लिखा हुआ इन द API. API इज API इज ए कोड बेस, राइट, जहाँ पे पूरा rules and protocols लिखा हुआ in a coded language like Java. Now look at this example. If account details are correct, for example, जो account details आप दे रहे हो पेमेंट करने के लिए, अगर वो डिटेल्स सही है, राइट, अगर वो डिटेल्स सही है एंड बैलेंस अवेलेबल है, तो आप सक्सेस मैसेज दिखाओगे, मतलब पेमेंट अलाउ करोगे. बट अगर अकाउंट डिटेल्स सही है बट बैलेंस अनअवेलेबल नहीं है, you will show a failure message stating that, hey, sorry, payment failed due to insufficient funds. Now look at the third rule. If details are incorrect but balance is available, I mean the account details itself is incorrect, like जिनको आपको पेमेंट भेजना है, that account details are incorrect, then you will fail the journey. Like you will throw an error message, failure message stating that, hey, sorry, payment failed due to incorrect details. So uh, I mean, in different situations, you are showing different messages on the front end, right? So how is it happening? Because of the uh, rules and protocols written in the code base. What is that code base? That code base itself is API. Okay, so yeah, this is the API concept in fixed deposit concept. In this feature, if amount is not available, then again you will not allow the user to make a fixed deposit. In this ATM or debit card application or feature, if let's say if account type is not allowed to take a debit card or ATM card, or if your account is not active, then again you will not allow the customer to apply for a debit card. So for any action that user is taking on the front end applications, whether it is net banking, mobile banking, for any action that user is taking, uh, I mean, we will take a decision whether to allow or whether to deny. How we are taking the decision? The decision is taken by API. So to take a decision, it requires data. So that data is coming from front end through request, and that request, I mean, that data is coming from here to API through request, and that is coming from here to here again through request, and this is going back through response. Okay, so API is something which is taking some data through request and responding with some data, and taking a decision whether to show success or failure message. So that is about, if you can see here, API is a mediator between the front end and the back end. So see, this is front end. Why are we calling it as a front end? Because user is accessing his net banking through a browser, right? So all the front end channels are treated as front end, whether it is net banking, mobile banking, that those are the front end. Okay, that means we can also call it as client, right? And this back end, our server, means it is the back end storage, where data is lying, like all the bank details, password and everything, account balance and everything. So what API is doing, it is simply acting like a bridge. It is actually a code base where all the business rules are written in the code, right? So it is taking some data in the form of request. So data is coming from here to API. So when data is coming, that is actually request. Now, this request will go to backend. Please understand, API has taken a request from front end with some data. In the request, there is some data like user ID and password in case of login functionality, and payment, I mean balance amount and the account details in case of fund transfer, like that. So it is taking that request, sending it to server or backend, and then this server or backend is providing the data, like user ID, password, or it is correct or not. It simply says user ID, password correct or incorrect. That's it. It doesn't tell you more than that. Okay. Server will just tell you whether the user ID, password are correct or not. In the same way, in payment scenario, it will check the account details correct or not, and it will tell the API, oh, okay, account details are correct. In the same way, it will just simply tell, okay, the amount is available or not in the account. That much information it will give, the server will give. And now, based on the information received from the server, API will take a call whether to show success message or to throw an error or to show an error message. In case of login, if user ID and password are correct, API is taking a decision. Hey, okay, user ID password is correct, so allow the user to get the access. In case of fund transfer or payment, if account details and balance is correct, it is taking a decision. Okay, payment is successful. It is showing an SMS. I mean, not SMS, sorry, message on the screen that okay, payment is successful. But if in case balance is not available or account details are incorrect, then it will show an error message stating that payment failed with the relevant message. Okay, so API is just taking some request and checking the database in the server and taking a decision and showing and sending a response. That's it. So it is just like waiter in a restaurant. When you visit any restaurant as a customer, you will not directly go to chef, no, to order. You will go to, I mean, you will give your order to waiter. Waiter simply collects your order and go to the chef and give the order. And then chef, he cooks beautiful, I mean, delicious food, and then he will give it to the waiter, and waiter will bring that food item to the customer. So just like the way waiter is doing his roles and responsibility by taking the order, giving it to chef, bringing that food item to the customer, API is also just simply taking the request and getting the response back from the server, but it is taking some decision also. So overall, I would say API is a set of rules and protocols which which is actually taking a decision based on the data. Okay. Yeah, so that is API concept. So in another message, another image, you can see client and server. Client means front end, server means back end. Okay, so you can always call the front end as client. You can always call back end as the server, and API is the mediator, which is taking a decision based on the request response information or data. Yeah, and again, you can see here this is server or backend, and this is the mediator. So it is taking the request from different channels. So for front end, you can have multiple channels also, right? Let's say if you say WhatsApp, okay, if you take the example of WhatsApp web application is also there. WhatsApp mobile application is also there. WhatsApp nowadays you have got desktop application also. So wherever you do or wherever you use any feature, you use WhatsApp on web application or mobile application or desktop, whatever you use, no, so that decision will be taken by API. I mean, every time you use your WhatsApp web application or mobile application or desktop application, some request is going to API. API is talking to server, and it is taking a decision, and it is showing the relevant screen on your front end. So please understand, everything happening at the front end is because of the API, which is a code base having multiple business rules. So for API, there are other concepts as well, like you have internal API, you have external API, right? You have very technical concepts also like RESTful API, right? SOAP API. But then since it is this video is intended for the beginners, I did not discuss much, but yeah, there are many things in API concepts. So I hope you liked the video and you understood the concept. Please let me know in the comments. Please do subscribe if you like this video. I'll come up with many other videos like this in the uh, technical concepts. So I mean, also if you didn't understand the basics, also, right? What is database, front end, back end, all these things, I can come up with more videos. But please let me know in the comments. Thank you all for watching.